Welcome to episode 5 of our Kerbal Space Program Career Mode tutorial. In this episode, we are going to be taking one of the first big steps in this game, and that is getting into orbit of Kerbin. To do that, we're going to first learn some terms, and we're going to do something new this time. We're going to start worrying and looking at how to make money in Kerbal Space Program. As always, if you like this video or enjoyed this series, please give us a like and subscribe. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to get into orbit. Well, the first thing we need to mention, we have a couple terms. First is apoapsis, and apoapsis is the point that we are the furthest away from Kerbin. It's kind of a generic term, so if we were orbiting around the moon, our furthest point away from the moon would be the apoapsis. And the second term is periapsis, and the periapsis I would describe as kind of being the nearest point. And this number can be negative, meaning that your current orbit will take you into contact with the planet. And finally, let's talk about how we're going to get into orbit. The idea behind getting to orbit is that you want to be traveling so fast that the curvature of the planet drops as fast as you're going. So in order to achieve that, we have to get our spacecraft high enough where there's no atmosphere, and then fast enough going around the planet that we are falling just as fast as we were going around. So we are hanging in orbit. And it's kind of confusing at first. But once we start moving and getting things to orbit, it'll make a lot more sense. The next kind of big thing that we are going to talk about is like how we're going to do that. And usually the process into getting into orbit is that you launch a rocket straight up, and we don't want to kind of go straight up to our apoapsis and then start thrusting parallel to the planet in order to kind of push ourselves to the right speed. That's kind of ridiculous. Let's say you have the shortest point between two things is a straight line. So let's say you have this block that's a grass field. To get from the lower left corner to the right hand corner, you don't go north the block length and then eastward a block length. You would cut straight through diagonally. So what we're going to do is that we are going to launch up, and around 10 kilometers up above the planet, we are going to start turning eastward and starting to add some lateral thrust and lateral speed in order to build up that speed after we've got that height. So what we've done so far is at the astronaut complex, we went ahead and upgraded this so that we can perform extravehicular activities in flight. What that means is that we can actually get out of our spacecraft in flight. So we can do our first spacewalk here as well, which is super exciting. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to research and development, and we are going to grab advanced rocketry so we can get this bigger fuel tank, this more efficient engine that we talked about last episode. And we went and got that. And now we are going to start talking about money. We have 74,235 whatever unit of money they're using here is. But we need more. So over here in mission control, we have this list of various missions we're going to take. And we're going to take a look here. This is exciting. Some free money. I'm not going to talk too much about the reputation system right now, but we're going to accept this mission. All we have to do is test a stack decoupler at the launch site, and that counts. So we're going to accept that. And we're going to accept this one here. We're going to accept that we're getting into orbit. That's going to be a big one because we're trying to get into orbit. All right. So let us first kind of just test the stack decoupler. So when we have missions, we can click here and we can see here that these are the active missions. Right? So at the launch site, we just got to test the stack decoupler. So I'm just going to do that. Grab that. This is the TR-18A stack decoupler. And I'm going to launch. And over here, we can check this out. and I've just completed the mission. Simple as that. Got 4,000 money for it. We recover the vessel. Get some money back, and we finished another mission. Let's see if that, another mission is has kind of here has appeared here in our mission control here. We have to go through all these places to do crew reports. Take a VIP to a destination back. This one I have to take a solid fuel booster, and these missions are kind of tricky because you have to get at the right altitude, also at the right speed, which is challenging. Temperature study at some place I'm not sure about, another ferry tourists, but back and forth. This one also can be tricky because, again, it looks like right here it's a lower speed at the high altitude. That can be kind of annoying to do, and these stars are the difficulty. So there's nothing here I really want to do right now, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to start building my craft. Yes. So let's just start over. We need the command pod. We're going to need an antennae. I'm just gonna shove that there. We're going to have the heat shield. Oh, that is the wrong heat shield. Cool. Right. Aerodynamics we don't need yet. Payload don't need. Yeah, since we're going to orbit, hopefully going into orbit, let's put that there. There. Excellent. Let's get our science out. And what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to put this inside. Put two of them inside. That looks good. The main reason I'm going to put them inside is because aerodynamics. On here, I'm going to grab temperature. Put them both there. I'm going to grab two of the barometers. Cool. Coupling. Cool. Stack decoupler there. Structural, don't need that yet. Command control, we're going to get the mech jeb here. And we're going to get a little more detail using that. Inline reaction wheel. Don't think we'll need that now. Fuel tanks. Yes, we have the nice big fuel tank. So we were using two of these earlier. Now we have this, just the one big one, which is a lot more convenient. Yeah, look at that. And, oops, I need engines. We're going to grab the Terrier here. Alright, cool. So we have 2206 Delta V in vacuum. And notice that some engines are a little more effective at different places. Oh, let's remember our parachute. In vacuum and in atmosphere. So let's structural couplings. I'll put another coupling down here. And we're at 2134. Usually the number you want to shoot for, what people say is we're looking around 3,500 Delta V in order to get into orbit. So our goal is to really get around that much. The more you have, the little more leeway you get. And one thing that you'll find is pretty kind of fascinating is that the more engines and things you strap on here, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to the more engine you strap on doesn't really mean that you're gonna have more Delta V, because you also have to contend with the weight of the engine and things like thrust to weight ratio. So I've just stuck two fuel cans on here and an engine, and what I'm gonna do, let's try this. We're gonna put two solid rocket boosters on the sides here. I'm at 3,600 Delta V now. What if I were to put two of these? It's 4413, a 2.64 thrust weight ratio there. Let us get some. I kind of also want fins. Oh, that's a little crooked. Fins on here so I have some kind of control. Yeah, let me actually make them symmetrical here. That's good enough. Put the nose cone on here. And what we'll do is we'll limit the thrust to about 70%, so it'll last a little longer. 2.06. So with 41 delta V, this should be enough to get us into space without too much problem. Hopefully, knock on wood here. My main concern right now is controlling it. Yeah, this might be good. And we're going to call this aircraft Faith after the final Mercury capsule. Alright, so we take a look here. We see here that we have theoretically enough delta V to get to space. And let us save it. Let's go to a launch pad. Alright, we're activating SAS, prepositioning the throttle, checking our staging. Ooh, look at this. Missed that. Alright. So one of these I'm going to have the solid rocket boosters launch first, followed by the main engine. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Everything looks good so far. Slow start upwards, but trying to lose control, and that's not great. Yeah. Let's revert to the vehicle assembly. So why did we lose? So we have to move this. Ooh. Put 4 here. I know, it's like adding more. So we saw that we had diminishing returns. We had 4100 delta V previously, but now all of a sudden we have 48, and when we doubled our bottom range. Because again, we have there's diminishing returns when it comes to when it comes to adding more engines. So let's try 4 of these. That looks good. That looks really good. Okay, save it. Let's try it again. Alright, activated that. Oh, forgot to make this change here. But let's go! Alright, looks a little more stable. We are looking pretty good. Oh man, this might do it. This might do it. This is pretty good. Okay, SB's cut off. And let's let's fire up our other mesh. So, oh no. Too much. Let's revert the flight. And let's try it again. We'll try to be a little more conservative. with the turn at around 10,000. Right, let's go this a little bit, and we can see here that our apoapsis is changing as we go up, and we have more velocity and momentum. We want our apoapsis around above at least 75 for a good orbit. Any below that, that near orbit starts to degrade. Okay, let's go. Let's activate engine. Why does it steep? So this here is smart ass. It helps us. Alright, so let's make some changes. Alright, so what we're going to do, it's going to launch again. And I'm going to wait longer to make that gravity turn. And so when we have more delta V, we can be a little more, we don't have to be as accurate, we don't have to be as efficient. We don't have to be as efficient when it comes to our turn. And what I'm doing here is I'm waiting a little longer to turn than I normally would, in the hopes that aerodynamics will interfere less and drag. So we see here, we're starting to make our turn. Excellent. And what we want to do is that we want to stop our burn when we want our apoapsis where we want it to be. So I'm going to turn further. Excellent. Alright, so I'm going to try for an orbit of around 100 kilometers. So now I'm like pretty much fully out of the atmosphere. And at 100, I'm going to stop our burn. Let's bring up the map. We can see here that this is our path. Our apoapsis point is right here. And what I'm going to do is that at the apoapsis burn, apoapsis point, we're going to burn further and faster so that we kind of stretch this out. This here is the most efficient point to start our burn in order to ensure that we meet orbit. We get into orbit. And we see here that right now periapsis is negative 549,000. And we see that we have about 1 minute till we hit apoapsis. Ooh, forgot to change our staging again. That would have been a bad surprise later. And because I want to burn, I want to start burning a little bit before that. Around 30 seconds I'm going to start burning because I do have I'm almost empty here. I only have 5.3 seconds left. And I'm going to need more than that to burn. So I'm going to start. burning. And the direction you should point is in the direction of your momentum, which is prograde, and we can actually use MechJeb in order to keep us pointing that direction. And now, as we go that, we see our periapsis is changing, as well as our apoapsis a little bit. That's fine. If I do this, we can see that our trajectory is changing as well. Is that the point is we want to get this out and around. So, you see the time apoapsis is changing. We're at full burn. And we should have enough fuel to make this happen, which is pretty exciting. And this is also kind of gorgeous. You can see the galaxy before us. While I'm here, let's open up the service bay and collect some science. Observe the mystery goo. Well, looks like we've been here before. Ah, it's okay. Let's grab log the pressure data. Looks like we've been here already. There's no science to be had. Okay, we see here that we are hitting... Awesome. So now we have a kind of elliptical orbit. We know that our apoapsis, which is our furthest distance away from Kerbin, is 144 kilometers, where periapsis is 103. And we are going to do right now is I'm going to see if I can take a temperature reading, if there's anything out here. We're still near Kerbin, so that's fine. But what we can do, we did the crew report already. But let's do this. We're going to click on the crew hatch, and I'm going to do an EVA. And this is our first spacewalk. I'm going to right click. He's going to do an EVA report. He's going to keep the experiment in board. And I'm going to crew report. That's fine. Stored data. We can transmit the stored data. And we've got the science for it. And let's go to this map here, and we can see that we are successfully in orbit around Kerbin. So that's great news. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I'm going to try to get us to 144, which is apoapsis, and we're going to see if that's considered high Kerbin space, so I can get even more science. Okay, let's start to slow down a bit. Alright, that's good. So it's a little dark here, which is annoying, but we can still mouse over to see the things. So let's log pressure data. Still in space near Kerbin, so we're not far out enough yet. Oops. So Mr. U. Yeah, we're still too close to Kerbin, which is fine. But now we have to think about, well, what do we do in order to close my service bay, in order to get back down, right? So let's take a look at this map. The most efficient way to deorbit something is that at apoapsis, if you turn your ship away from the direction of your momentum, or retrograde, right, and you start a burn, you're effectively decreasing your relative ground speed, and this will come down, and eventually you will re-enter the atmosphere. The atmosphere will slow you down even more and bring you back into orbit. So one thing that may be counterintuitive is, in order to change your periapsis altitude, your periapsis distance, you have to burn at apoapsis. And if you want to change your apoapsis, you have to essentially burn at periapsis. So to kind of demonstrate this idea, oops, It's going to go here. I'm going to click retrograde. Let's check my thing. I have no electric charge because I use it all transmitting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to burn a little bit, turn on my engine ever so slightly, and the engine has a what do you call them? The thing that in your cars converts electricity. Alternator. That's what it is. The engine has an alternator. So as we point retrograde and we see and we burn our engine, we see that our periapsis is changing. It's growing smaller and smaller. And I guess I could crank it up a little bit. And we notice the angle change as we start to kind of get closer and closer. So right now I'm going to cut our engines. Whoops, wrong button. And we can see our vertical speed is decreasing. We see our periapsis is -39, and we don't want to go absolutely nuts and drop like a rock. The heat is bad. Essentially. And what's going to happen is that excuse me, we'll burn up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fast forward time a little bit. I'm going to fast forward it until we are essentially about 60 or so kilometers above the planet. And then we're going to jettison our engine and let gravity take us the rest of the way back. The reason why we want to jettison our engine around 60 or so is that at about 60,000 meters or 60 kilometers, that's close enough where anything in orbit will eventually just burn up in orbit. So we're not leaving space trash in the atmosphere, in orbit. And if you like, that's a serious problem. Like, if you're not too familiar with things, like, seriously look into how much space junk we have up in space. It's actually kind of shocking how bad it is. All right, so we see this kind of weird barrel roll we're having here. So I'm going to slow us down. I'm going to check the engine right now. Try to put us retrograde. There's no battery to do anything, so, which is not great, but that's fine. Alright, so the air forces, just aerodynamics of it. I'm going to point us down. Just general drag of it will kind of keep our heat shield pointed down. We can see here that our heat shield is slowly losing its effectiveness because as it burns down, and we might actually be making a desert landing, which I don't think we've done here before. Right? So we're coming down, heat shield's holding, slowing us down. Our first surface speed is dropping drastically. And we should be good. I wonder if we'll hit, yeah, we might hit desert, we might hit these lowlands, highlands, possibly highlands. But we are slowing down enough. I think we should be at a good speed in order to deploy our parachute. Yeah, plenty. The heat shield is holding. We've decelerated enough where this is not a big deal. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit, accelerate time to get us around the... So one thing I want to do is in MechJeb I can actually turn on surface info as well. And because this here is above sea level altimeter, this one will give me my true altitude. And I will be able to activate my chute in a second. So we do crew report here? No, we've never done one. Let's keep the experiment. And how do I get stupid thing? Let's pop our chute. Chute is caught. Surface is good. Vertical speed is coming down pretty well to 6.5. Yeah. Your vertical speed is hovering around 6 meters per second, which is acceptable. Let's increase speed so we touch down. And poof, we've made it. So exciting things here. We've never been. So let's get some reset goo canister. And I'll keep this, but on this side, this other one, this is why we brought two. Gonna reset it, review the data, reset that experiment, and we're gonna grab some new data from, yes, the desert. Excellent. And here we're gonna go take an EVA. Awesome. Make an EVA report here, and we're gonna plant a flag. We can do that because we upgraded the same upgrade that lets us do the EVA. First desert landing. The same upgrade that lets us do the EVA also lets us plant flags during EVAs, which is fantastic. So now we got to get back in. Okay, board. Now let's recover our vessel. We've done it. We've orbited Kerbin. Let's see what goodies we have. 47 science. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. We have some parts that we've already able to recover. Some fuel we've recovered. 1 experience gain. We've advanced to level 1. Awesome. And let's go to commit mission control. We see here we have some new message. Next episode we have to explore the moon, which is exciting. But let's go over here. What do we have here? First milestones. We entered orbit. We got 24,000 monies, 2 science and 5 stars of reputation. Did a spacewalk, returned service from orbit, planted one of our flags. Awesome. We completed the contract for orbiting Kerbin. Cool. Absolutely awesome. So let's go to R&D. Let's see what we can buy. So long-term planning. I think that one of the things I want to show you next are I want to install the ScanSat mod and start showing you how to use to scan the planet for some science, and which happens to be really awesome because what we have here is this basic science thing. We're going to research this. And it gives us batteries, which is essential. And it gives us a probe head. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch our first satellite around Kerbin. We're going to get into orbit, and we're going to start scanning. So, and we'll see you next time, and happy flying.